Okay, so I wanted to briefly start this vlog. So this vlog is going to be my romance slash contemporary reading vlog, and this is another one that I chose, or Fairy Loot Tarot Cards chose for me in one of my recent TBRs. I'll link that down below in case you're curious. And the books that I've decided to read for this one include The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. I actually just finished it this morning, so I'll talk about that in just a minute. I'm also planning to read The Worst Best Man by Sosa. I also am going to be reading, and actually just started, Anna K by Jenny Lee. And then I also plan to read Date Me, Bryson Keller. I'm blanking on the author's name, but I'll put an image here. So, just gonna briefly catch up because I don't have much time, and then I will check back in soon. But the first thing I did was start the ebook of The Worst Best Man. I'm just a little bit into it. I also listened to the audiobook very quickly for The Hating Game by Sally Thorne. So this is an enemies to lovers office romance, and I don't always love enemies to lovers because I usually and typically it's that I don't buy the enemies part of it, and it just, I don't know, whatever. But this one was just fun. I really enjoyed it. So this one follows Lucy and Josh, the companies they worked for had a merger, and they each are the executive assistant to the heads of the companies that merged. And so both have stayed on as co-leads or co-heads of this company, and then both executive assistants still stayed on. And so there's a little bit of tension. There was some tension around the merger, and Lucy and Josh did not quite hit it off. Really, they just razz on each other, so I didn't necessarily buy the hate part of it, which, doesn't bother me, but whatever. They razz on each other a lot, and it's easy to take that seriously, right? It's easy to take that as this person really doesn't like me, and I'm definitely not always a fan of, like, if they razz on you and they kind of make some shitty jokes sometimes, that means they like you and are into you. But that's kind of what's going on here. But their dynamic is just entertaining. It's super funny, and they are competing for a promotion is kind of how that ramps up. And so they're both spending time on their application, kind of the presentation they need to make to pitch themselves as someone who deserves this promotion. And things start from there, and they really come to fall in love. And their dynamic was just so much fun. I will say, I will just leave it at the first scene of them actually kissing. I was a little bit cringing at, because I wasn't sure he had enough consent on her part to kiss her. But that was the only thing that really made me cringe in this one. And but other than that, I really enjoyed their dynamic. And again, that's a huge other than that, and I get that. But overall, super entertaining. And they're both just basically trying to work through their own stuff while figuring out what it means for them to be together. And it was overall pretty cute and entertaining, and I listened to this audiobook. The audiobook was really good, by the way. I really like the narrator. And I listened to this audiobook in literally a day and a half because I just couldn't stop listening. So, and then after I finished that audiobook, I have started the audiobook of Anna K by Jenny Lee, just to keep an audiobook going while I'm continuing to read the Kindle version of Worst Best Man. So I will talk a little bit more about those when I have some more time, but I at least just wanted to check in and start this vlog and say that I somehow have already read a book for it. Is what it is. Anyway, I will check in soon. So it's a few days later. There's a couple things to check in on. One, I finished Anna K by Jenny Lee. Did not end up liking this one. I think it was mostly the narration style for me. First, mention a little bit about what it's about. It is an Anna Karenina retelling. I haven't read Anna Karenina, so that wasn't context I had going in. and it's a modern day set in New York City reimagining of Anna Karenina as a young adult story. And so it basically follows a bunch of rich kids in New York, and so it's rich kid teenager problems. And sometimes I like that, sometimes I don't. And this was not an instance where I liked it. And so I think it might have been the narration style in part. So it's kind of Gossip Girl meets Anna Karenina, where the narration style is an omnipresent, omniscient, third person narrator who knows what's going on in different parts of New York City and in these people's lives, and knows what they're thinking, but it's a very kind of distant narration style of just, they did this, and then they did this, and then she thought this, and then he thought this, and then and went like that, which isn't my favorite narration style, because it just kind of makes me feel like I'm at a distance from the characters, and I didn't really end up not liking the characters in terms of like them being likable people. Not many of the characters were likable, which is fine, and that's not what I mean. I didn't end up interested in anything that was going on. I didn't particularly care what happened to any of these characters, because I just felt like I was at such a distance from it that I just didn't end up caring what happened. And so I'll leave it at that. But yeah, so it's a lot of, and I was also waiting for, I guess, again, I haven't seen Anna Karenina, so I didn't really know what to expect. I was kind of waiting for a plot to happen. And there is some plot, but it's mostly just who likes who's doing what drugs, what's going on with their families. They're going to Coachella, they're trying to survive Valentine's Day, and it just wasn't stuff I ended up caring about. I probably should have DNF'd it, to be honest, but I didn't. It was a thing that happened, but yeah, it didn't end up being my personal favorite. Just kind of not really something that ended up grabbing my attention. Which is fine. You win some, you lose them. I then started listening to Date Me, Bryson Keller. This one is super cute. I'm not all the way done with it. I'm maybe 2/3 of the way through, maybe 3/4. I'm not entirely sure. But somewhere in that ballpark. And this follows Kai, who is a high school kid. He knows he's gay. Hasn't really told anyone, including his best friends or his family. And there is a kind of dare going on with one of the popular kids at school, where this popular kid will date the first person that asks him out on Monday morning. He will date them for the week. And they both end up being kind of late to a class and paired together for a school assignment. And it just kind of happens, and Kai is like, date me, Bryson Keller, almost kind of out of spite, actually, because of the situation that happened that meant that Kai was late. But anyway, he just kind of ends up saying it, and Bryson's like, okay. And so they start to fake date. I'm starting to realize that fake dating is something I like in some of my romances. But anyway, they start to fake date, and then more happens, and it's just so cute. It's just so gosh darn adorable, and I just had a smile on my face the whole time. And the narrator isn't my favorite, but it hasn't meant that I haven't enjoyed it, or hasn't taken away from my enjoyment of the story. So I'm having a really good time with this one. I'll check in when I'm finished with it. And I'm also part of the way through, maybe a third of the way through The Worst Best Man by Sosa. So I think I briefly mentioned it, but haven't actually mentioned what this is about. So this one follows Lena and Max, and Max's brother was engaged to Lena, and he basically, the brother abandoned Lena at the altar. So it's some years later, and there is a situation where Lena might be able to get a new really amazing job. She's a wedding planner, and she might be able to get a really amazing position. And Max and the brother that abandoned Lena at the altar come into contact again through the job interview process. So Max and his brother are helping, in a sense, with the interview process by kind of being the marketing person to help put a package together for two potential people vying for a wedding planner position at a hotel. That's what this position is. And so Lena's one of the people being considered, and the two brothers are helping these two competing wedding planners compete for this position. And so Max is going to be working with Lena to potentially get a new job. And so she's having to set aside the fact that Max's brother left her at the altar and work with him on this presentation, on this proposal for what it would be like for her to be the wedding planner at this hotel. And it's pretty cute so far. It's pretty cute so far. My battery's about to die, so I'm gonna talk more about that one a bit later when I check in next, but talk to you later. So here to wrap up this romance contemporary vlog. So I have finished both Date Me Bryson Keller and The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. So I'll start with Date Me Bryson Keller. I think I gave a basic description of both of these, and I just absolutely adored everything about Date Me Bryson Keller. I really loved the characters. I really loved the dynamic between our two main characters, Bryson and Kai. I just thought they were absolutely precious, and I thought they were dealing with a lot of real and very tough things, but this book still stayed very lighthearted, I think, through quite a bit of it, even with some very serious things going on. So I will just say that this book deals heavily with coming out. I'll put a couple of specific things below in case you're curious, because I do think they're, they happen somewhat later in the book. They're kind of tying to some other things. They're a bit spoilery, so I'm not sure how much I want to talk about them, but I'll put a couple of specific things below. But it very much deals a lot with coming out as Kai starts fake dating Bryson, and it kind of develops more between the two of them. They were absolutely precious. They were really, really precious, and I just loved how much they were there for each other throughout the entire week. And I want to give them a hug. They are so precious. So I really, really ended up enjoying this one, and would definitely highly recommend if you're in the mood for a YA high school, just absolutely cute romance that still does deal with some real and very important topics. I adored this one. I also believe I've given an overall setup for The Worst Best Man by Mia Sosa. I think I said that he left her at the altar, but the main male protagonist's brother called off the wedding, I guess, right before, so she wasn't literally standing at the altar, but they were at the wedding getting ready for it, and he just kind of left. Anyway, I don't know if I misspoke about that earlier or not, but just in case. And so you follow, again, some years later, when Lena needs to rely on her ex-fiance's brother to help her put a pitch together to win a job, or to have this position as a wedding planner at this really big hotel. And so so that was kind of the main dynamic. There was a lot that I really, really liked about this. I just thought it was overall cute, fun. Is it a bit tropey? Sure. But was it just fun and entertaining? Also, yes. I really appreciate how Mia brought in Brazilian culture through the character of Lena and her family. I really, really loved everything to do with her family dynamic, and just having a lot of fun with that side of the story. And also getting to know Max a little bit and getting to see both of the characters really grow over the course of the book. And I do just enjoy some forced proximity. This is another thing I'm realizing I like in romances. I like forced proximity, which is definitely something that happened in several different instances. And you know, overall I thought that their dynamic was super fun, and you know, just had a good time reading it. It didn't blow me away necessarily, but I had such an entertaining time reading this one for sure. So overall I think this vlog was a pretty good success, you know. I mostly enjoyed the books that I read. I think my least favorite was probably Anna K, and probably then followed by The Worst Best Man, but again, still had a really good time with this one. And oh, I think The Hating Game and Dating Bryson Keller, they're just very, very different. I'm not sure which one I liked more between the two of them. I really enjoyed both of those. Davey Bryson Keller might have been my favorite of all of them, but I did really enjoy The Hating Game minus the first kissing scene. Anyway, successful vlog. I was just in the mood for contemporaries and romances after starting some new series in my previous vlog, so I just felt that this was a good next one to do. The final one of the 3 tarot cards that I drew is middle grade, and so my next vlog will be some middle grades. I've actually just started with this one as well, so look forward to me hopefully enjoying some really, really precious and amazing middle grade fantasies. I think they're all fantasies that I'm planning on reading. I think that's mostly what I read in middle grade. So I'm definitely very excited to continue on with that vlog. It's already starting off really, really well. So that one will come next. I also am going to be headed back to my apartment soon, which should really help with me actually being able to be more consistent about my filming and uploading, and be able to actually do a few more interesting things that I haven't been able to do in the past year, or at least not as easily in the past year, and I haven't always wanted to in the past year. So that'll be very, very exciting to actually be back in my apartment and around all of my books again. So that is happening soon. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll be sure to link my Twitter and Instagram down below. That's where I like to hang out. And I will also leave more information about how you can support the Black Lives Matter movement. Let me know what you thought of any of the books I mentioned in this video, if you've read them or are interested in them, or some other romance contemporaries that I should look into based on what I enjoyed about these books. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one. Bye.